The windshield didn't just crack, it shattered. The pilot inside, who was filming with an open helmet visor, was knocked unconscious by glass and poultry shrapnel. The test plane nosedived into the field. Pilot survived with a broken arm and permanent vision loss in one eye. Reporters dubbed it death by chicken. It was one of the only known aircraft crash caused by a frozen bird launched on purpose. In 2008, a fully loaded commercial flight en route from Berlin to Rome encountered no turbulence, no warning signs, no human error until the plane suddenly started making wild banking maneuvers. Passengers screamed, coffee spilled, overhead bins opened. The jet veered left and right, eventually dipping 7,000 feet in under a minute. The pilots were completely confused. Instruments showed no mechanical failure, but autopilot refused to disengage. It turned out the onboard flight software had glitched because the plane's navigation system had been updated. Mid-flight using a USB flash drive left in the cockpit. The pilot had downloaded a movie onto the USB earlier during the layover and plugged it back in during flight, forgetting it contained non-airline software. The plane interpreted the movie file as a configuration update and began rerouting the system. This was the first case of an aircraft nearly being taken down by pirated copy of Fast and Furious 6. The airline industry responded by banning all non-approved USB devices on board. Captain Jorge Mendel, a 56-year-old pilot known for being eccentric, always wore two things, a gold chain and a satchel. What no one knew was that the satchel contained his pet corn snake, Luca. Luca had been flying secretly with Jorge for over a year, until the day Jorge forgot to zip the satchel. Midway through a 2-hour domestic flight, a flight attendant screamed. Luca had slithered into the cabin, causing panic. One man tried to stop it. A kid threw a juice box. A woman fainted. Jorge attempted to calm everyone over the intercom. Please remain seated. The snake is harmless. Wrong choice of words. People assumed he meant a snake was on board, not his snake. The chaos led to multiple passengers storming toward the cockpit, one breaking the door handle. A co-pilot, startled, hit the wrong lever, reducing engine thrust and causing a loss of altitude. They made an emergency landing in a field 30 miles outside São Paulo. No one died. But Jorge lost his license, and Luca was adopted by an airport staffer in 2015. Flight JX007 had taken off from Seoul to Osaka with a brand new AI-assisted landing system marketed as auto-learning, which meant the more it flew, the smarter it became. Unfortunately, this AI was still in its learning phase. It was a routine domestic flight 400 from Dallas to Seattle. Cruising at 30,000 feet, nothing seemed out of place. Captain Martin Hale, a 43-year-old ex-Air Force pilot, was in control. First Officer Jenny Liu was monitoring instruments. Passengers were buckled, snacks were being served, and a baby was crying in seat to 7B. Then came Kevin. Kevin, 24, was a travel influencer with 80K followers and a deep desire to post something that had never been done mid-flight. So he snuck into the rear galley with his GoPro, opened the emergency exit cover without activating the door, and began filming a dangerous stunt he planned to Photoshop later. But Kevin didn't realize that on newer aircraft models, messing with the emergency exit handle mid-flight, even without full disengagement, can trigger the cabin pressure system to enter an override mode. The system panicked. Pressure dropped. The autopilot disengaged. The flight suddenly dropped to 1,000 feet in 6 seconds. Chaos. Oxygen masks fell. The crew screamed for people to stay seated. In the cockpit, alarms flared. Captain Hale managed to regain control after 5 terrifying minutes of uncontrolled descent. By a miracle, the plane landed safely in Denver. No one died. But Kevin was arrested the moment the doors opened. His final video before being banned from every major airline read, "Turbulence challenge, gone wrong." The FAA wasn't amused. Flight 721 was headed to Cairo, Egypt. It was a cargo passenger hybrid flight, carrying not just people, but exotic animals, crates of tech gear, and one mysterious container labeled fragile religious artifacts. The plane took off fine, but 45 minutes in, the rear cargo bay lights flashed red. Something had shifted. Turns out, a group of passengers had bribed the ground crew to smuggle illegal gold bricks inside regular suitcases. The problem? They'd packed nearly 800 kilograms of it in the tail section. Due to turbulence and loose strapping, the heavy luggage slammed into the rear pressure bulkhead. It cracked. The plane's structural integrity failed. The tail section tore off midair, leading to an uncontrolled spiral. Eyewitnesses on the ground described the plane spinning like a boomerang before breaking apart. Investigators later found one of the gold bars embedded in the wing wreckage. The moral: sometimes greed weighs more than gravity. Back in 1991, a test pilot for a small aircraft company named Holloway Aviation insisted on proving his new prototype's windshield could withstand any kind of bird strike. To simulate this, he borrowed a chicken gun, a real military-grade cannon used to shoot dead chickens at aircraft to test bird impact. During the final test, the engineer loaded the cannon, but forgot to defrost the chicken. It fired a rock-hard frozen bird at 400 miles per hour. When landing, the system didn't recognize Osaka's shorter runway layout and began descending to, early believing the runway started 600 meters before it actually did. The plane's belly scraped the tarmac. Sparks flew. The landing gear collapsed. Passengers screamed as the aircraft skidded on its metal underside for 700 feet before halting. The airline issued a statement. "We are proud of our AI's fast learning curve. It now knows where not to land." Flight 339 was a charter flight for a music festival in Brazil. The plane was full of DJs, influencers, and one washed-up 90s pop star named Rico Savage. Rico, trying to relive his glory days, got permission to enter the cockpit mid-flight to perform a live stream. He brought a Bluetooth mic, turned on his retro beats, and began singing his hit Sky High Baby. It was a harmless joke until his microphone started interfering with cockpit radio frequencies. Co-pilot communications were scrambled. ATC couldn't understand a word. Even worse, Rico leaned too far and pressed the autopilot disengage switch, causing the plane to bank suddenly. The pilots managed to recover control barely. Rico's career didn't. The airline later banned all mid-flight performances, karaoke equipment, and musical influencers from cockpit areas. From greedy smugglers to singing has-beens, from pirated movies to poultry missiles, these stories seem too bizarre to be true. But they are, or close enough. Some come from official aviation reports. Others are urban legends with scary grains of truth. All of them reflect one terrifying reality. Technology can fail. People can be careless. And the sky, though vast, is unforgiving. Pilots are trained for chaos, but even they can't predict frozen chickens, live snakes, or TikTok stunts at 30,000 feet. So what's the lesson? Don't bring animals on board. Don't film fake stunts. Don't plug in USBs. Don't sing in cockpits. Don't ever assume flying is just push a button and cruise. Flying is safe, but the dumbest crash always start with one dumb decision. And in aviation, that's sometimes all it takes.